So if you're not familiar with 7-layer bars, I'm sorry for you because they are delicious. No, I'm just kidding. But they are. It's basically a graham cracker crust, and then the topping is loaded with chocolate chips and butterscotch chips and coconut and nuts if you want. But it's very, very simple, and it just really works together, though. They're fantastic. And, you know, it used to be you'd see them at different bakeries and at the grocery store and things like that, and I think they've kind of disappeared. But I'm hoping to make a comeback with them because they are, I don't know, I think they rock. So, as I mentioned, this makes a nice big batch. You need an 11 by 17, one of those big baking cookie trays. And we're gonna, or baking sheets, jelly roll pans, I guess is the word for it. And it starts with 3 sticks of butter. But like I said, this makes a big one. And you don't have to cut these. You can serve quite a few depending on the size bar. These bars are pretty rich, so you can actually cut them into smaller bars, and you're gonna get quite a few bars out of this. So 3 sticks of butter that you can melt in the microwave. I'm just going to do it right here on the stove top. You can also take the sticks of butter and just put them right in your jelly roll pan and stick that in the oven for a minute or so. Keep a close eye on it and melt the butter right in your jelly roll pan if you want to really take a shortcut. Sometimes what happens to me is when things get in the oven, that's when I start checking the email and getting on Facebook and doing the laundry, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I don't want to burn 3 sticks of butter in the oven. So I'm going to do it where I can see it and keep an eye on it, because there's nothing worse when you're, you know, butter's not cheap these days. So 3 sticks, I would hate to burn those. So I'm just going to keep a close eye on it and melt them right here. Okay, so this is the pan I'm talking about. A nice big 11 by 17. And I love when I'm going to make a dessert like this, and sometimes a 9 by 13 just isn't enough. You want to have some extras. So this, you're going to have plenty. And then we've got 4 cups of crushed or graham cracker crumbs. This is one of the best things ever invented. Basically, it's the crumbs already done for you. If you don't want to hassle with buying those and you have a box of graham crackers, you can just put them in a Ziploc bag, and you want them to be pretty fine though, or in a food processor and pulse it. So basically we need, is it 4 or 4.5? 4.5 cups. So 3 sticks of butter, 4.5 cups of the graham crumbs. I'm just waiting for this butter to melt. And by the way, if you have any great snack recipes, please email them to us. That's one of those things I think people are always looking for. So, we'd love to have you come on the show and make your recipe, or, just send us the recipe, and hey, who knows, maybe I'll make it on the show one day. We're also headed out today to find some different snacks. We found some French fries that are unbelievable, over the top good. And sometimes when you're just having one of those days and you're craving French fries, man, these are amazing. So stick around. We're also going to show you how to make some trail mix bars, which are really nice and healthy for on the go, and just all sorts of fun snacky ideas. So, all right, butter's starting to melt. We're just about there. And I'm going to take once our butter's melted, I'm going to take these graham crumbs. Yep. So we're just going to do this right in the jelly roll pan. So 3 sticks of butter. Waiting for these last couple of pieces, which they'll be fine. And that's why I say you could actually just throw the sticks of butter on the pan and melt them quickly in the oven, but be careful. All right. Now goes our 4.5 cups of graham crackers, and I'm just going to take a big old spatula, and this is going to be our graham cracker crust. So I love desserts, but when it comes to doing a lot of fancy baking, that's just not my thing. And this recipe is just so easy. It's kind of one of those dump and go recipes, so can't mess it up. And everybody loves these, they really do. Perfect for those when you need to bring a dish to pass, potluck, something like that. Who doesn't love a good bar? Not a tavern bar, a good bar. dessert bar, I guess is what I should say. So I just want to mix our butter and our crumbs together, and then I'm going to pat them down to form our crust. And you don't need to pre-bake the crust, which is what I like about this recipe. It's all going to bake together. And by the way, this is a recipe that you can actually pick up at Super Ron's in Pulaski. Great little grocery store, one of those wonderful small town grocery stores with great service. So you're going to be able to find some of my recipes there. And this is one of them. Okay. So all that butter makes this crust very, very easy to work with. Now I'm just going to spread it out evenly and pat it down, and we'll get on to the rest of this recipe. If you've got school-age kids, you know they're always needing to bring treats, and they always need to bring them at the last minute. That's the other thing about this recipe. I normally have most of the ingredients on hand. I've got butter. Now I keep graham crackers or graham cracker crumbs on hand. And then the rest of the ingredients is stuff that usually are pretty much like pantry staples. So, you know, you don't want to have to run out and get a cake mix. You know, bake these bars instead. Okay. I love a good graham cracker crust. All right, let's get to the rest of the recipe. Okay. So we mentioned that it calls for a lot of different, or just a few different chocolate chips. We've got 2.5 cups of chocolate chips, semi-sweet is what I like to use, and 2.5 cups of butterscotch chips. 1.5 cups of shredded coconut, and I think that's one of the reasons I really love this recipe, because I don't see a lot of coconut in desserts, and I'm a huge coconut fan. So I happen to really love it. And then we've got some chopped, I like to use pecans in this. Now if your kids don't do nuts or you're worried about nut allergies, you can leave the pecans out, not a big deal. And I just toss these all together in a bowl and then spread them out evenly over the crust. That way it all gets kind of mixed together. I know some of the recipes kind of layer these, but I think this makes it easier, and then everybody gets a bite of everything in here. And then we've got 2 cans of sweetened condensed milk. So this is the thick stuff, the stuff you make fudge with. We've got 2 cans. These days it's nice, you don't even need a can opener. They've got the pull off tops. And you just take this wonderful, rich, ooey goodness, and you just basically drizzle this evenly on top of the bars. Just try and cover as much as you can. You want to get every little last bit of this goodness out of the can. These are fun to make like on a snow day, when you don't want to have to run out to the grocery store and you've got this stuff on hand. Fun for the kids to help with because they can get in there and help clean hands, push that crust. They can help measure the different chips. I always say if you don't get those kids into the kitchen, they'll never learn how to cook. So start with fun treats and things like that, and then next thing you know, Sunday breakfast, have them help scramble the eggs and make an omelet. And the hope is that one day they'll be making you dinner. And it really does happen. It does. Okay, that's that. These then go into the oven. Bake at 350 for about 20 to 30 minutes. Everybody's oven's different. Check them to make sure, you know, the crust is golden. Then it's really important to let these cool. As much as you want to get into them right away, they're going to be so much easier to cut if you let them cool. And I told you this makes a big, beautiful batch of bars. Aren't these gorgeous? So it's up to you how big you want to make these bars. They're very rich, so they don't have to be huge. They cut a lot easier than brownies, which is nice. Sometimes brownies can be, you know, so moist and stick to the pan, but these really plate up nicely. So I'm going to get to work on cutting these and putting them on a plate. Might even have to take a nibble or two of one. I'm hungry for a snack.